So I am naturally super pale. No pigmentation whatsoever in my skin. I am pale as a ghost. When I was really young, I was super insecure about it. I'm okay with it now. I do prefer myself tanned. I think most people tend to look a little bit better with some color. Because I was so pale from so young, I remember experimenting with a whole bunch of self-tanners and all of that, and just remembering all of the disasters that would happen. So I'm kind of making this video with like my 11-year-old self in mind, the video that I wish I had seen at that time. Before I go on really quick, just in case I pull my hair forward and stuff, I got like the weirdest color job of my life. Like I wanted to lighten up the ends of my hair, and instead like the whole bottom part of just my head was lightened and everything else was just left my natural color. It doesn't look too bad, but trust me, it's like not good. Excuse that, I'm in a little bit of a situation right now. So let me know if you think I should go lighter or back to my natural color. Let me know in the comment section below. But anyway, as I was saying, speaking of disasters, self-tanning can be a huge disaster. This is going to be the video that I wish I had seen. Nothing like of this video, like anything that I mentioned and all of that, like I'm not sponsored, nobody's paying me to make this video, I'm just making it because it's an important video, you guys. So I've experimented with a ton of different self-tanners. I've tried everything. There are a few brands and products that I really like and love. My favorite has been the one that I've been using ever since, I think it was November, December of 2014. So almost a year now I've been using this product. Again, I'm not sponsored for this. I love this stuff. It's the Loving Tan. It's like a mousse formula. My cap is a little bit dirty because I use these. So I've been using these for about a year. We had a really disgustingly cold and terrible winter in New York. So the one way that I made myself feel kind of like happy, like even though it's winter outside, I don't have to look like winter, is I would self-tan. And everybody found it kind of weird when I'm mostly covered up, but like I didn't care. I just want to be tanned. I was like, I really don't care. It just makes me feel good. So I just kept doing it. For starters, they have two different formulas. There's the regular one, which you have to keep on for about 6 to 8 hours or so. So usually you probably have to sleep in it just because it's kind of difficult to walk around during the day with this, because when you have a self-tanner on while it's still on your skin before it's time to rinse it off, you don't want to sweat, you don't want to get it wet, so your best bet is to sleep in it. I don't really thrill over sleeping in self-tanner. I do it sometimes, but it's just like not my favorite thing. So I use the 2-Hour Express, and I keep this on not 2 hours, I usually keep it on for 3 because I feel like the results come out better with it. They have different shades. I use dark during the summer months just because I kind of have a little bit of a natural tan going on, like very like, for everybody else, I'll look like, you know, eggshell. For me, it's tan. During the winter months where I'm like extra pale, I just use the medium. I feel like it blends and fades more naturally. But this is what it looks like. I actually did this, I think yesterday. Yeah. It gives a really nice kind of natural olive sort of tan rather than orange, which is super important. So the most important part is prepping your skin. If you already self-tan and you're trying to put on a new fresh layer of self-tan, I recommend getting rid of whatever old self-tan you still might have left on your skin. And the best way to do that, of course, is exfoliating. I have those exfoliating gloves that you get at like the drugstore and stuff, and I just really scrub myself. There's certain spots that I feel like get really dry, like I feel like right in between like the boobs, around the underarm area, the elbows, the knees, the ankles, and feet. I start exfoliating 2 days before I plan on self-tanning, regardless of whether I have a self-tanner on me or not. I just start exfoliating from then, so that way I can make sure that I'm exfoliating enough, because sometimes I feel like you go in, you start exfoliating, you get bored, and you're like, I think that's enough, and usually it's not. So that's why I recommend starting a day or two ahead of time, thinking about exfoliating and really scrubbing very well. Like I said, if you have old self-tanner on that's like really stubborn in certain spots, like I notice around my feet and my ankle, even when I scrub with those exfoliating gloves, like they don't really get it off that easily or that well. Loving Tan also makes like this exfoliating mitt. It doesn't look like anything that abrasive or whatever, so I'm not even sure how it works, but somehow it just manages to really get off the stubborn areas where the self-tanner is kind of like a line that just will not come off. This glove gets it off. I don't tend to use this absolutely everywhere or alone, just because I feel like it's not as easy. Like I wish it was more of like an actual glove. Kind of hard to maneuver around this, and it's only one, whereas with my exfoliating gloves I get to put it on both hands and like really like get in there. So I only rely on this like to just finish things off. Okay, so then on the actual day you're going to be self-tanning, hop in the shower, do your whole exfoliating bit, shave your legs, make sure like everything that you want to be hairless is hairless. The self tanner goes on a lot better. And then when you hop out of the shower, you're not going to put body lotion on all over your body like you did the other day or two before the actual self tanning day. But you still want to use lotion on the areas that are dry. All those extra dry areas. The wrists, the ankles, the feet, the knees. Really get the knees very well because those absorb so much product. Those are the spots that get really dry and really suck in way more self tanner than the rest of the parts. That's why a lot of the times those areas will look a lot darker. If you're going to self tan your face, I don't always self tan my face just because I feel like it doesn't last that long, just because I use exfoliators, I use benzoyl peroxide, and benzoyl peroxide tends to bleach the self tanning bits away. It doesn't really last as long on my face. I do like to do it just because it allows me to wear less makeup. It's really personal preference. You can self tan your face if you want to, but you don't really have to, especially if you're somebody who wears makeup. When I self tan my face, I like to of course make sure that it's well exfoliated, but also hydrated. Put on a really nice layer of moisturizer all over my face just to kind of create that barrier. It's easier if your face ends up being a little bit lighter than the rest of your body than if it's a lot darker than the rest of your body, because I've seen both things happen. Easier for it to be a little bit lighter because then you can always add a little bit of bronzer if anything. If you're a lot darker, you're gonna just be sitting there trying to scrub your face off and like all of that, and it's not necessary. Okay, so while I was filming the self-tanning bits for this video, like the demo portion, I kind of changed locations multiple times, but how I ideally like to self-tan and how I recommend to self-tan is to get in front of like a full-length mirror, so that way you can just see everything. You can see every angle of yourself. You can do all these weird twists and turns. Trust me, I feel like a contortionist a lot of the time when I self-tan. I self-tan naked. I know there's people who they wear a bikini and stuff. I don't want tan lines, and I self-tan myself, so I'm perfectly okay with being naked. So of course, to avoid orange hands, you definitely want to wear some kind of like a mitt or something. I like to use a mitt when I apply my self tanner. It's just when it's a brand new mitt, and I find this to be like across the board with all of the self tanning mitts, is that when they're brand new, I don't feel like they move the product and spread it that well. I kind of prefer how the mitt works when it's been used a few times. But it doesn't really bother me because I don't really use the mitt for my entire body. I only use it really like for my legs and just like broad strokes like stomach area and stuff. What I like to do, how I like to apply my self tan, is with a kabuki brush like this one. This is like a kabuki foundation brush. It's from Tarte, and don't worry about, at least for the Loving Tan one, it doesn't seem to stain it or anything. Like, this is a brush that I did not wash. Like, I used this yesterday. I didn't wash it afterwards. I don't really know how that works. I feel like the Loving Tan doesn't stain anything other than your actual skin. Of course, I still wear like dark clothing and stuff when I have it on, just because you never know, but I haven't had any issues of getting it out of like white clothes, sheets. I like to use this because, especially around like the neck area, the chest, like upper arms and stuff, I feel like it really smooths out the self-tan really nicely. And especially if you might have to like, you know, walk out in public, it doesn't look embarrassingly like weird, because sometimes when you apply it with the glove, it doesn't really go on as smoothly, especially if the glove is kind of on the newer side. I also use it to apply it onto the face. So what I do is I put some of the self tanner onto the brush, I work it into my neck and chest area, and then when like most of the product is off of the brush, then I go ahead and I just buff around my face, because I don't want to add too much self tanner to my face. And trust me, you can get kind of dark even when you're not using a lot of products. And then for bigger areas like my arms, my legs, stomach, I'll go back in with the glove, and I'll do the best that I can. But to perfect it and really make sure everything flows, there are certain areas that are really difficult to blend self tanner onto really seamlessly, which are the hands, the feet, the ankles, the elbows sometimes, even the face, and that's where I go in with this. I even use it around the belly button just to really, I don't know, it just seamlessly blends things. So I just go ahead in circular motions like this with the self tanner, and I go around like that. But avoid going like right over your nail area, just because, especially if you're wearing like nail polish or something, it does kind of stain the nail polish a little bit, and it helps it to fade just like seamlessly. So don't think these are just for makeup. And then of course is the final trickiest part. Everybody asks me about this, is how to self tan your back. So my trick comes in like 2 or 3 parts. You need a full length mirror, a hand mirror, and a back applicator. This one is also from Loving Tan. As you can see, I used it yesterday and I didn't wash it right after, so it's a little bit dirty right now, so ignore that. When it comes to your back, what I recommend doing is getting as much as you can with your mitt. Then you'll usually end up with like a small little area on the back that you can't really reach with your mitt. And that's when you can use a back applicator. So I use this, but it's hard to use it if you can't really see what you're doing. And if you're like twisting to look in a mirror, it's still kind of difficult. Hold a hand mirror in one hand and turn my back so my back is facing the full length mirror. And then I go ahead and I'm able to check it out and see and get that area covered. What I will say though about the Loving Tan, if you end up using this, is don't panic if it doesn't look like, especially on your back, because it's really, really difficult if you're doing it by yourself. Don't panic if you don't think that it looks like perfectly even, like the color doesn't look perfectly even. The color that you see when you're applying this is really just a bronzer, just to show you that you've covered certain areas. Blend it as best as you can, but your main focus should be that you just have every area, every spot covered. There have been many times where I'm like, this is gonna come out really streaky, and then I hop in the shower, I rinse it off, and it's fine. Once you rinse it off, you're not going to look as dark as you were probably expecting. So if you ever see yourself, like when you have the self-tanner still on you and you're like, this is going to come out too dark, don't worry, because it's not going to come out that dark. It's always going to come out somewhat lighter than what you're seeing. But if you come out of the shower and you notice that, like, wow, this is way lighter than I was expecting it to be, it's not as dark at all as I wanted, the developer is still like in your skin and it keeps developing over the course of like the next 24 hours. Like, this is me 24 hours after I self-tanned. Last night I was not this dark yet. Then of course, since you spend so much time applying the self-tanner, I usually apply it once a week. During the winter months, I can go up to about 10 days, but of course you want your self-tan to last for as long as possible. What I like to do to kind of bump up my self-tan, especially when it's starting to fade, those like topical like body bronzers and stuff, I really like this one. This one's from Victoria's Secret Pink. It's a luminous body bronzer, and I'll show you really quickly on my chest right now. Is I take this, and then I take like this is another kabuki brush from Tarte. Tarte makes really, really great brushes, and I use the majority of them for self-tanning. So I take some of that on there, just a little bit at a time. And as you can see, this is what's going to just give you more of that glow. It has a little bit of shimmer in it, so it reflects light and stuff. And as you can see, like how much more luminous everything becomes. Like you see that shoulder compared to this one. This is almost like strobing your body. So yeah, so that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it really helpful. And as always, I look forward to talking to you again very, very soon. Bye.